you're going to notice something that feels difficult to explain, even to yourself at first. Not because it's confusing, but because it doesn't arrive with noise. It shows up as quiet. A quiet that isn't empty, but also isn't asking for anything. When you try to describe it, the words feel slightly off, like they're pointing at something that has already moved. You might mention the lack of urgency, the absence of pressure, the strange sense that nothing is missing. And you can see it in other people's faces. They listen, but what they hear isn't what you mean. Some hear withdrawal. Some hear boredom. Some hear avoidance. So you adjust. You soften it. You try to make it sound meaningful enough to land. That impulse feels familiar. Understanding has always felt like safety. But right now, something inside you isn't stabilizing through being understood. It's stabilizing on its own. And that difference hasn't fully revealed itself yet. As this moment continues, you realize it doesn't come with a story. There's no clear shift you can point to. No insight that organizes it neatly. If someone asks what changed, the honest answer feels almost disappointing. Nothing really happened. Or everything did, quietly. That kind of answer doesn't travel well. It doesn't fit the shapes people expect growth to take. So they try to name it for you. They offer explanations that make sense from the outside. And you notice something subtle. The more you try to translate what's happening, the thinner it feels. The less accurate it becomes. When you stop explaining, it doesn't disappear. It settles. It holds its shape without reinforcement. There's no relief in being understood here. There's relief in not needing to be. Even if you don't yet know why that feels true. A boundary begins to form, but not the kind you decide to build. It appears quietly, in moments that used to matter more. Someone misunderstands you, and nothing in you rushes to fix it. There's no urgency to correct their interpretation. No tension asking you to defend your experience. Earlier, being seen accurately felt important. Recognition acted like proof that something real was happening. Now that mechanism doesn't activate. You're still present. You still listen. You still engage when engagement feels natural. What's gone is the effort to export your inner state as a way to stabilize it. Translation pulls you back into an older mode. One where meaning has to be shared to be real. This moment doesn't need that. When you leave it alone, it holds. When you try to frame it, it loosens. And you're starting to trust that difference. You notice it most in small interactions. The ones that used to require alignment. Someone asks what you've been doing, and you answer simply. You don't add depth to make it sound significant. You let the moment end where it ends. Advice arrives, and it passes through without friction. You don't accept it. You don't reject it. There's no internal movement demanding a position. From the outside, this can look like distance. Inside, there's no withdrawal. There's just no pull. You're not disengaged. You're no longer activated by the same hooks. Conversations soften. Participation becomes lighter. Not because you care less, but because nothing inside you needs reinforcement anymore. And that simplicity feels unfamiliar enough that you're still noticing it. Time begins to change its texture here. Not dramatically. Quietly. Questions about what's next don't create tension. You may still have plans, but they don't anchor the present. Uncertainty doesn't demand resolution. Earlier, not knowing felt like a problem to solve. Now it exists without pressure. Days move forward without being measured as progress or delay. Action happens when it's needed. Rest happens without justification. Others may struggle to relate to this. Urgency is a language many people share. When you stop speaking it, interactions shift. You listen more than you speak. You don't mirror intensity to belong. Presence becomes quieter, more grounded. And you're realizing that understanding this state isn't about insight. It's about compatibility. Eventually, the original discomfort dissolves into something almost invisible. Life feels usable again. Not as preparation for a future version of you. Just as it is. There's no sense of arrival. No internal announcement. No moment that proves a phase has completed. The desire to name this state fades. Labels feel unnecessary. They pull you back into a story this moment doesn't require. Nothing here needs explanation to stay intact. You can forget about it for hours or days, and nothing collapses. It doesn't intensify when you focus on it. It doesn't fade when you don't. That's what resolves the opening tension. Not understanding. Continuity. Not everyone is meant to understand this moment. And that no longer matters. It holds without audience, without effort, and it continues quietly even after the words stop.